temperature in the forest was steadily dropping, snow was falling, and the biting, cold wind seemed to cut through the skin, as if trying to block our steps. But no one gave up, because this was one of the journeys we had been looking forward to most of the year, the challenging winter wild boar hunt. Our hunting team is very large, with dozens of people. Most are locals, and a few come from other places. Our common goal is to hunt as many wild boars as possible. However, operating on thick snow during winter is not easy. Wild boars in Canada this season are very alert and cautious, slower, but more ferocious and tougher than ever before. Every step in the snow made a crisp, crackling sound. We tried not to make loud noises. As we moved, we searched for wild boar tracks. We discovered deep footprints in the snow, larger than an adult's palm, definitely a herd of wild boars. I looked up toward the distance. In the shadow of the trees, I heard dry branches snap. Many large, dark shapes slowly appeared. My heart pounded. They were a herd of dozens of wild boars, busily foraging, seemingly unaware of the approaching danger. We quietly moved closer to the herd's position, trying not to make a sound. Once in a safe spot, we gripped our guns tightly and aimed carefully at the vital points to take down the prey as quickly as possible. The gunshot echoed through the quiet forest. The bullet struck its body. The boar collapsed into snow, struggling. Not just one wild boar fell, but two one I shot and another Paul took down. Around noon, we moved up a mountain. Here we found some herds of wild boars feeding, small groups of about 3 to 5 wild boars, some larger groups. We focused on locating them through the scope, aiming for the head or chest of the animal, as that would kill it the fastest. On the high hill, gunshots rang out continuously. Probably hearing the gunfire, wild boars scattered and ran deeper into the forest. By early afternoon, Team 3 reported that they spotted a mature herd of wild boars moving southward in the forest. If we didn't keep up, we would lose their trail. We immediately tightened our formation and gave chase. The snow grew thicker, and the wind whipped against our faces like knives. Falling snow limited our visibility, making it difficult to hit the target. During the wild boar hunt, in the snowy forest, visibility and experience are the most important factors. You can miss giant prey and even face hidden dangers without experience and skills. We are lucky to have learned from experienced hunters in the area, so every hunt is carefully prepared. After the wild boars are hunted, we gather and transport them to the collection point. Winter helps preserve the meat longer, so most of it is sent to processing plants. The boar meat is processed into wild game meat and consumed locally. The winter wild boar hunt in Canada is not for the faint-hearted. Snow, cold, and wild animals with killer instincts demand absolute precision. Every shot, every step. But it is precisely those heart-pounding moments that make us feel truly alive, amid the harsh nature, amid survival challenges. Today's video ends here. How do you feel about today's video? We hope it brought you an interesting topic. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Anatolia has a complex terrain with hills and valleys interspersed with swamps and swamps. Before that, we had the opportunity to hunt wild boars in the swampy area in the south of the Anatolian steppe. Because the terrain is swampy and muddy, we used a special vehicle, an airboat. This boat has an engine that is a giant fan that creates a great force to help the boat move on the dry swamp. Thanks to its fast speed, we were able to shoot down many harmful wild boars. However, the hunting trip in the Anatolian steppe brought us more drama and experience. The hunting trip lasted one day, starting before the sun had even appeared. After more than 1 hour of traveling from early morning, at 8 a.m., we encountered a herd of wild boars, all of which were adults. I raised the gun, my heart pounding. Amir whispered, "Shoot the leader or they will scatter." I took a deep breath, held it steady, and pulled the trigger. The explosion echoed through the mountains. A wild boar fell with a screech. The remaining herd was startled and scattered. That we followed the trail of the remaining wild boars, but because of the long distance, it was difficult for us to hit these wild boars. However, this herd of wild boars was probably exhausted and could not run far. We chased and shot down a few more wild boars. This increased the number of wild boars we had to shot down to nearly 10. As the sun rose, Amir and I decided to hike up to get a better look at the boar herd. Sure enough, Yusuf radioed that they had spotted a large herd on the slopes of the opposite bank. I aimed carefully, waiting for the moment when the boar stopped and fired. With a single shot hitting the weak spot, the boar was hit and rolled down the mountainside. In the afternoon, we decided to move south to ambush the wild boars. This area is where wild boars often pass through to get into the farm. Sure enough, it didn't take long to wait. The wild boars appeared. Not letting it escape, Amir quickly shot down the wild boar, knocking it down on the spot. Wow, this wild boar was huge. Can you guess how many kilograms it weighed? The larger the wild boar, the more aggressive it is, and the more destructive it is compared to other wild boars. Therefore, we must hunt down these adult wild boars at all costs. As you can see, the terrain in this mountainous area is rugged, with steep slopes that make it difficult for us to move. The wild boars are very fast, and the bushes provide easy shelter for them. Without observation skills, it is difficult to detect the wild boars. These wild boars relied on the rugged terrain and escaped our repeated shots. Next time I won't let them escape, said the Emir. Amir and I moved down to a position near the ravine. The soil here is more humid, so the shrubs and grasses grow well. If you don't observe carefully, you might not be able to detect their location. At a distance of hundreds of meters, this wild boar was taken down. To do that, what do you need? Simply a scope attached to a gun. To hunt wild boars or any wild animal, we need a scope to make the shot more accurate. In the late afternoon, we moved to the foothills near the farm to finish the hunt. Hunting wild boars did not bring us any joy, but because of the surrounding farm, the wild boars needed to be exterminated. This trip is not just a hunt, it is a journey connecting people and mountains, instinct and skill, tradition, and modernity. Please like and subscribe to the channel to watch more videos. In Bulgaria, particularly in the temperate forest regions interspersed with grasslands and farms in the north, wild boars have long been a source of distress for the local population. Not only do they destroy crops, but they also cause severe damage to the natural ecosystem. The increasingly serious situation has forced locals to resort to extreme measures, such as setting up electric fences around their gardens, or even hiring professional hunting teams to track and trap the wild boars. Despite trying many methods, the wild boar population here has never shown a significant decline. And so today, once again, we pick up our rifles and head out to hunt. After a quick breakfast, we led the hunting dogs around the back of the farm. Freshly harvested cornfields are always a feast that lures the wild boars down from the hills. I figured this was a prime spot for an ambush, surely a big catch today. Sure enough, less than half an hour into our wait, a large herd of boars suddenly burst out from a patch of dry corn. Excited, I couldn't help myself. I raised my rifle and pulled the trigger. The startled herd scattered across the field. The biggest, fattest one appeared to be hit, injured, and lagging behind. The hounds quickly surrounded it, leaving it no chance to escape. At that point, all I had to do was walk over and finish the job with one clean shot. Our first trophy of the day was in hand. After that thrilling encounter, we moved to the other side of the field. This area hadn't been harvested yet. Lush green grass stretched out to the horizon. With such clear visibility, it was ideal for another ambush. From a raised mound, I scanned the area and quickly spotted a new target. I raised my rifle, calmly tracked its movement, waited for the perfect moment, and fired. The bullet hit the hind leg. The boar slid across the grass and came to a stop. Success after success kept the whole team energized. Even though it was nearly noon and the sun was beating down on the field, no one felt tired. This time, we decided to hide behind a corn bush. Jake and I got into position, gripping our rifles tightly and waiting patiently. There it was, a fat wild boar slowly wandered in less than 10 meters from our spot. It paused, seemingly sensing danger from the barrel aimed straight at it. But we didn't waste a second. A few rapid shots rang out. The boar was hit, but still tried to flee. I couldn't let it escape. I quickly fired a few more rounds, and finally it collapsed in the middle of the field. What unfolded before me was an astonishing sight. A herd of several dozen wild boars stormed past like a black whirlwind, kicking up clouds of dust and leaving behind that pungent, musky scent of the wild. Gunfire erupted across the field. In the chaos, a few boars didn't make it out. Early in the afternoon, we split up to scout more targets. I rode my motorbike around the wheat fields. Suddenly, a dark figure moved among crops. I hit the throttle and gave chase. But in my excitement, I rushed it. I tried firing one-handed while riding and kept missing. By the time I stopped the bite, the boar had vanished, leaving me frustrated but still adrenaline charged. Just when we thought the hunt was over, Jake and I were driving back to base when, out of nowhere, a pitch-black boar dashed across the road ahead. Instinct kicked in. We stopped and raised our rifles. Jake fired first, but missed. I fired right after, trying to keep steady. This time, the shot landed. The boar flipped over and thrashed about at the field's edge. The golden light of sunset stretched across the distant treetops. We sat by the truck, laughing and chatting. More boars had been taken down, but what lingered most were the heart-pounding chases, decisive shots, and even the near misses across the wild plains. Setting foot in the vast forests of the Pyrenees in France, I couldn't find a single moment of peace. Herds of wild boars rampaged relentlessly, tearing through the local farmers' agricultural land. This destruction had gone on for far too long, and I knew that only by confronting the problem head-on could the situation be brought under control. However, hunting wild boars here is no easy task. These animals are incredibly intelligent and know how to evade human pursuit. They can hide deep within dense thickets, turning the hunt into a challenge that demands precision, patience, and sometimes a bit of luck. As usual, the hunt began at dawn. The dense forest floor was covered in dry leaves, making it extremely difficult to track the wild boars. We had to split up and ambush from multiple directions, thoroughly sweeping each tree base and every patch of forest, leaving no corner unchecked. When a wild boar entered my line of sight, I immediately seized the opportunity, raised my gun, aimed carefully, and decisively pulled the trigger. One clean shot, and the boar collapsed on the spot. Our first trophy was in the bag. Though the start wasn't too bad, the lack of hunting dogs made it much harder to continue tracking more prey. After some discussion, we decided to move to a more open area, which would be better for observation and ambush. Before long, a small boar dashed down from the hilltop and entered our sight. I quickly raised my gun and fired. The first shot only wounded it, and in a panic, it rammed into a wooden post and kept running. Without hesitation, I fired several more rounds. Finally, one bullet hit a vital spot, and the animal collapsed at the foot of the hill. Around noon, I wandered along the hillside for over an hour, hoping to find new tracks. And finally, patience paid off. A herd of wild boars was quietly weaving through the thick bushes. My rule, when facing a herd, is always to aim for the alpha. With one decisive shot, the lead boar fell, while the rest of the herd was still stunned. quickly shifted my aim and fired at the ones nearby. Ironically, just as I was feeling regret for a few missed shots, the unexpected happened. The lead boar started to crawl and then staggered down the slope. This was no time to give up, otherwise all the effort since morning would be in vain, and deep forests don't let anyone stay distracted for long. The next encounter came sooner than I expected. That's hunting for me. Sometimes it takes hours of patience just to wait for a single moment of confrontation. Other times, the prey appears suddenly without warning. If you're not calm and focused enough to react instantly, all you can do is helplessly watch it vanish back into the wild. Still, the hunt had to go on. By late afternoon, I hadn't encountered another herd. While sweeping near a trail, a lone wild boar emerged. Sensing danger, it bolted uphill. I tightened my grip on the gun, calculated its path, fired, but missed. Luck wasn't on my side this time. The sun had set, and we were walking along the trail back to our rendezvous point. Just when we thought the hunt would end in disappointment, one last chance presented itself. A suspicious rustling came from a dense bush near the roadside. I strained my ears and readied myself to shoot. The sound drew closer. A boar suddenly burst out of the underbrush, sprinting across the path. There was no time to think. I pulled the trigger immediately, but the boar managed to escape. I rushed over to check, only to find it had already vanished into the thick shrubs. At the end of the trip, we brought the wild boars we'd hunted back to the rendezvous point. Though the day didn't go exactly as hoped, no one was discouraged. Every hunt is another opportunity to gain experience. There were disappointments and regrets, but also lessons learned and resilience forged. Having been a hunter for many years, I've experienced quite a few thrilling chases. But stepping foot in Louisiana for the first time, everything still made me restless and excited like a rookie. The air here was thick with the smell of damp earth, dry leaves rustling beneath my feet, and wild sounds occasionally echoing from afar. I knew I was about to enter a hunt unlike any I'd experienced before. We had carefully planned the hunt for several days, and now it was time to officially begin. First, The whole team took advantage of early morning to check the bait traps. In Louisiana, hunting laws are very strict, especially regarding mechanical traps that can injure animals. Therefore, bait traps are still widely used and considered more legal. Look over there, a herd of wild boars, busily rooting around the trap. My heart rate spiked. I raised my gun, aimed at the boar standing closest to the edge for the best shot, then squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out, and the boar collapsed instantly. The rest scattered in panic. It was a bit disappointing to take down only one, but such a start wasn't bad at all. Leaving the trap area, I happened to come across a deep waterhole with a few wild boars lingering nearby. Though not very large in size, each one looked plump and healthy, enough to stir the hunter's blood in me. However, these creatures were incredibly sensitive and alert. Even the slightest noise would set them off, and they'd scatter before I had any chance to take aim. In the end, I decided to climb up a high hunting stand to lie in wait. One wild boar slowly approached the stand, unaware of the danger ahead. This was my chance. I quickly raised my gun and fired, but the shot missed, and the lucky boar managed to escape. A gentle start like that was enough. I climbed down from the stand and began to carry my rifle deeper into the forest, searching for traces of other boars. It didn't take long before the next target appeared. Today was truly a lucky day for me. I kept running into one group after another. This time, I couldn't rush it. I quietly raised my gun, held my breath, focused my eyes for a perfect aim, and pulled the trigger. A single clean shot, the boar crashed down hard, lying stiff on the forest floor. By the afternoon, the whole team decided to change tactics. We drove an airboat to hunt wild boars out in the fields. I sat on the deck of the boat, clutching my gun tightly and scanning every nook and cranny. There it was, a boar appeared on the right without any signal. My friend Ash immediately steered in that direction, waiting until the boat ran parallel to the prey. With a perfect aim, I didn't hesitate to pull the trigger. The shot didn't instantly take down the boar, but it wounded it badly enough that it jumped up, then lay thrashing until it was exhausted. Just look at its size, clearly a formidable pest. Luckily, today we managed to take it down. Driving an airboat to hunt wild boars in the fields is definitely an experience you must try in Louisiana. Unlike the tension in every step through the forest, the vast open fields become a playground of speed and reflexes. The roaring engine and the sound of digging into the ground easily alert the boars and make them flee, so there's no room for hesitation. As soon as the prey shows up, we have to aim quickly and squeeze the trigger in a split second. One missed shot and the boars will slip into the tall grass and disappear immediately. Ash steered the airboat to another, less dense area. The hunters in the team split up, each watching a different direction. 15 minutes passed in silence when suddenly Harry stood up and pointed forward. A small wild boar was glimpsed in the distance. A burst of gunfire rang out. The target was completely taken down. So another boar's carcass was loaded onto the boat. The hunt ended with results beyond expectations. Although the whole team was exhausted, everyone was filled with excitement. Louisiana did not disappoint. Wild boars, the experience, and the feeling of satisfaction after each successful shot are truly hard to describe in words. How do you feel about today's hunt? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to follow more thrilling hunts.